Well, I'm delighted to be joined by Chris Hughes, Love Island legend, horse racing connoisseur. But today we're talking about something much more important, and that is Mental Health Awareness Week. You've inspired loads of men to talk through your candid honesty about your own battles with anxiety. So before we get onto your partnership with Bumble, could you talk to me about your journey and what it was like at the peak and its worst moments?
Yeah, it's kind of peaking worst moments was before I was in the public eye. So it was about 9 years ago, and it was anxiety, and I had absolutely no idea what it was at the time, and I had no real kind of reason. I couldn't put my finger on why I was anxious. It was after a night out, and it lasted for months, and it kind of taught me a lot about myself. And I spoke to my mum about it. I went and saw the doctor just because I didn't really know what was going on, and then I saw a hypnotherapist, and it kind of like it just taught me, yeah, it just taught me so much about myself. I didn't know what it was, and it goes to show how much the conversation around mental health has come on. Like over the last 5 years, it's been unbelievable. Even me and you discussing this podcast, radio, television. It's everywhere. It's on billboards, and it's so important we keep that conversation going because we need to normalize mental health because we all suffer from it at one stage or other, and it's some worse than others, and it's a very normal thing to have, and it should be a very normal topic of conversation. There's still a stigma around it, but yeah, for me it started off in my early 20s, and I didn't know what it was. Couldn't put a finger on it. I had my own coping mechanisms, whether it was going to the gym at certain times where I'd feel a bit rubbish. I'd kind of get up because I felt like being active was a way of me coping with it, because it kind of was a distraction. And even nowadays, there's days where I feel like I have the odd bad day, but I tell myself, look, it's okay. Like tomorrow's a different day. Like we go again, and I'll find a TV show which I love to put on to watch, and it makes me feel better. And it's kind of like you learn a lot about yourself within it all. And yeah, kind of journey's been. I've had my ups and downs, but nowadays, I'm proud of myself in the way that I'm able to cope with it, and I enjoy being able to kind of have the discussions around mental health and do the campaigns with the likes of the charity Calm, and be able to kind of how showcase how much discussion and conversation can help people.
It's really good that somebody like you is talking about this because you became so popular on Love Island because of how happy and cheerful you were. I remember that moment where it all kicked off in the villa and you suggested rapping to lighten the mood a bit. And I think that's what made you so likable to the British public. But it's a good point because it shows that behind that smile, people can be struggling. And it's why it's so integral that we reach out to our friends and make sure they're doing okay.
Yeah, big time. And the thing with, like, even on Love Island, I'm not somebody. I wear my heart on my sleeve. Like, I don't hide my emotions. If I'm feeling a certain way, I cried on TV. I've done that plenty of times. That's just me as a person. I can't keep my emotions intact if I'm feeling bad. So for me, it's slightly easier for people to understand around me what's going on. But I can certainly see, when the shoe's on the other foot, for people who keep their emotions, to themselves, how difficult that can be. And I even found it hard having conversations with certain people about my mental health. But once you've done it, that first conversation is the hardest. Then you've got somebody you can go to in the future. That's why we encourage people, to speak out, speak to a friend, speak to someone in your family. Like, it really does help. And yeah, it's hugely important. And we're all human beings. None of us are different because we've been on a TV show or in the public eye. Like, we're all the same. And it's and mental health, it affects all of us at one stage or another. So yeah, we've got to continue these discussions, and it does really help certain people.
It's good to see that this is something that's such an important part of your life. And you've teamed up with Bumble, and we've got some research here from Research Without
Yeah,
Barriers, and they've discovered that a whopping 67% of people are happy to speak with a potential partner about mental health issues as early as the second day. And for people who perhaps go into these settings feeling nervous, feeling stressed, this research shows that they shouldn't do.
yeah. This research was so refreshing. I can understand when people go, "Oh yeah, I don't want to speak to my partner. I don't want to tell her how I'm feeling because I don't want to put any strain on her or put like a burden on the relationship." This goes to show that it shouldn't be like that. And another one of the statistics: 4 in 5 people believe that being open about mental health and well-being with their partner can lead to a better connection. That's all. It's all very positive. And And that's how it should be. If you're meeting the right person, they're right for you. It should be easy to have a conversation with that person about how you're feeling. And if you're having a bad day, you should be able to discuss that, and that person should be there for you. And likewise, vice versa, you should be there for them, and you should be able to listen when you need to, be the ears for somebody else. So yeah, it's great. It's great, statistics there. It's very encouraging. I mean, and dating can be hard. And the way I link it all back is, a lot of people in this day and age think, oh, I'm not at this certain stage in my life. They see social media, people getting married, people having kids, and they're in relationships, and they're like, I'm still single. Like, I'm still single, but I don't put any pressure on myself to achieve certain things. Or people say it's an achievement, but like just to tick off certain parts of your life on a time scale. I don't think there's any time. Everyone does things in their own time, and that's how it should be. So I'll continue to, advise people not to put pressure on themselves, and take time out as well. On Bumble as well, you can take a time out on the app if you need to. You don't lose your matches, but it gives you a chance to, look after your mental health as well. Like, you don't have to be continuously active. I'm not looking for relationships or to go dating all the time. Like, that would be exhausting. So you can have time to yourself and step back and, yeah, do things on your own terms in your own time.
It's great to hear you say that, because the dating process can be so stressful, whether you're just starting out, you're going on a dating app and maybe you're waiting for that person to reply, or you go out and you're worried, am I going to be able to make conversation on this date? You've been open with me about suffering from anxiety. So can you talk me through the process of going on these apps and going out on dates and how you manage those symptoms?
Yeah, I think just it's nice to kind of have an understanding. Obviously, until you've gone on a date with somebody, until you meet them in person, that's where you really get a true understanding of people. But you can have lots of conversations about it, and you should just feel, it's nice for people, especially if people don't know you beforehand, or you don't know them. I kind of, you want them to be open. You want them to feel like they can be comfortable talking to you as much as you are talking to them about certain aspects. And like you mentioned earlier about the statistics about people opening up, but on or before the second date. I mean, that's great, because you want to learn. Let's be honest, when you go on a date with someone, it's because you're wanting to learn more, especially in the early stages. You want to know more about them. You'd almost be, the way I see it, you'd be more offended if they kind of didn't really open up to you or tell you much about their life or what they did for work and all that kind of thing. Like, you want to know that. That's why you're there. So I feel like, yeah, just patience is always important. Like, the first person you speak to isn't going to be the person. It might be, but it's not always going to be, the person that you're going to be with for the rest of your life. That wouldn't be normal. Obviously, it's a lot of, trial and error, meeting people. They might not be right for you, but you've got to do what's right for you. You've got to look after yourself, and you've got to stay positive, and don't beat yourself up when something doesn't work out.
Absolutely. And Bumble, who you're working very closely with, they've changed the game really in terms of dating by offering these new prompts for people who do have mental health struggles. Would you be able to talk me through them a little bit and explain why they're helpful?
Yeah, well, there's a safety wellbeing center within the app, so it's all about self care. You can go on there. You can, find ways to kind of look after your own well-being. There's also self-care interest badges, which you can put on your profile. That's a new thing they've done. So that can be anything from therapy, mindfulness, deep chats, time offline, sleeping well, nutrition, whatever it is. It just allows more transparency for the people that you're talking to, you're going to be communicating with. It's the goal is to expand on the self-care category in the future, and that's hugely important. Self-care is vital. It's the world we live in now. Mental health is a serious thing. It's a serious discussion. It needs to be taken seriously. So it's great that you've got apps like that, which are obviously all self-catering for people who need that self-care.
Absolutely. And the last stat I wanted to touch on is that 41% of people on a first date enjoy deep chats compared to a 17% who enjoy the overly flirtatious conversation. So do you think when people are going out on dates, they're prioritizing the wrong things?
Yeah, possibly as well. And it's like, when you're going on a date, a deep chat is, for me, especially if I was going on a date and I went out with a person. I mean, I'm going out with this person because I genuinely am intrigued in this person. So a deep chat is is something you want to know about. You want to delve deeper into it. Obviously, on nights out or certain different elements and stuff, obviously it's great, being flirty and stuff, and that's obviously good fun as well. But it's kind of finding like that fine medium, isn't it? And really knowing what you want in life, which is hugely important. But yeah, people could be prioritizing the wrong things, and but again, it's we're all individuals. We know what we want as individuals. It's important that you know what you want. If you don't, and that can obviously help you in the future when it comes to dating.
Absolutely, Chris. It's been fantastic discussing things with you. Thank you so
Thanks, mate.
much for
No, pleasure.
opening up. No, thank you. No, again, yeah, it's fantastic for opening up to me about your anxiety. But before I let you go, is there anything that you would like to add that I perhaps haven't asked you about?
No, I think you covered it all. I mean, yeah, it's great. I know we appreciate you guys obviously continuing this conversation. Obviously, we know it's Mental Health Awareness Week. That's just a hugely important topic, and just let's just keep the discussion going. And if anybody's out there who's listening now who is suffering, who hasn't opened up, who's keeping it to themselves, just don't, because the statistics are there. If you open up, like it does help. And try and keep as positive as you can, because it doesn't last forever. So stick with it, and yeah, you'll be good one day. There's always light at the end of the tunnel.